Now, hasn't got reverse thrust. Let's see if the spawners work. So put them all to full. Clearly doesn't work. They haven't bothered to do that. Okay, you know what? I think I'm gonna give this video a trigger warning for everyone who likes airplanes. Because we're gonna check out the new M Scenery airplanes. Yes, this week, within just one day, M Scenery released 4 new payware aircraft here for the Microsoft Flight Simulator, and all of them are extremely bad. You may remember M Scenery here on the channel. Only a month ago, we checked out their Aviation Il-96. This plane is the worst thing that I've ever seen for the flight sim, and I have no idea how it got 3.1 out of 5 stars. Okay, now it's gone down to it's gone down to 3. But this plane was extremely bad. I mean, just look at the picture of the cockpit they delivered. This airplane did not have an autopilot. This plane did not even have a comm panel. It was this bad. This was the worst payware, and I had to give it 1 star ever. And so I was a bit, surprised this week that M Scenery is back. Once again, being able to deliver 4 airplanes. The 747-400, the 767-300, the A340-300, and the A340-600 Professional. 2.9 stars. I checked this plane already out in a live stream. It's 11 euros and 19 cents. And let me show you. Now, this plane didn't come with a picture of the cockpit. They didn't even deliver a preview of the cockpit. We don't even know what we're getting here. And let me tell you, for 11 euros and 19 cents, this airplane brings pain to the world. A340-600 Professional, highly detailed model for Microsoft Flight Sim, fully animated aircraft. In a second, we're going to see that that's not even true. I kind of enjoy this because, I like to see misery like this. This is kind of like watching a car wreck that's happened where you don't really want to look, but you can't really look away, to be honest. Like, you have to, can't. I mean, look, there's one livery included, the Qatar A340-600, which is odd because Qatar doesn't even fly this plane anymore. Like, why didn't they just bother shipping the Lufthansa livery? Anyway, I mean, just the stats are completely wrong. Range, 4,100 nautical miles. A340-600 was once the longest range airliner. They would have fly double than 4,000. Also can fly definitely higher. This is all just crap. I mean, when we press fly, we notice a little bit more of what is actually about this plane. Here goes. It says the A320neo began operation in 2014. Yes, it turns out that this plane is the usual cheap airplane malady, where basically they copied over the included A320 of the Microsoft Flight Sim and put a new texture to it. It's probably going to have the same physics as well. You can definitely tell that in the camera, which is off. I mean, I like the A340-600, and I would be very glad to have it in the Microsoft Flight Sim. Look at this long boy. But something that's odd definitely is like the camera view angle, because the camera is still designed for the size of the much smaller A320, which is why the camera can't even properly catch the huge size of the thing. If we go forward, we can't even see. Look, you know what I mean? We're fully zoomed out right now. Does that make sense to you? Anyway, we can take a look into the cockpit, which pains me. In the stream, I figured that it was kind of like, I don't know why, but there's a lot of flashiness to it, which is really weird. I don't even know why that is. Let's turn on this airplane, which when we turn on the battery, this plane is like up and ready, like a Christmas tree. All the instruments are ready. The inertial reference system is on. Everything works already, which is wrong. And you can see, yes, this is definitely just the A320 primary flight display. They did bother to change the registration here and the engine specs here. This plane at least knows that it's an A340-600, but this is literally the only part where you can kind of tell that this is an A340. You know, the A340 has, for example, 3 of these flight computers. This plane, though, only has 2. That is completely off. The overhead panel is directly from the A320. The A340 is supposed to be able to show 4 engines that you can select for fuel. This thing only has 2. Yes, literally, and I'm not kidding, this plane only has 2 engines here on the flight sim. I'm gonna show you, it pretends to have 4, but wait, let me turn on the APU right here, which is already available as soon as we turn it on. I would love to maybe take a look at the status of the APU, see how it's doing. We can do that here on the eCam page, but it doesn't work. It only shows engines. 2 engines here, by the way. Look, this airplane is already ready to go, so we can turn on APU bleed's already on. Stuff like the fuel pumps, that doesn't work. Yes, not even this works. This is like below Roblox level. The aiders do not work. Literally nothing really works. Not even you could have at least pretended to make this work and make the cabin more or less hot. This doesn't work. This doesn't work. This doesn't. Nothing works. Okay, the window heat works. Funniest thing is not even the lights work. Look, I mean, I can turn on all the lights here, put on the landing lights, and you can see literally nothing. Come on, let's take a look and make it nighttime. This plane is dark. This plane is very dark. The only thing I can get to work is the nav lights here, the green and red lights. That's literally all there is to it. This plane does not feature landing lights. This plane is not airworthy. Great. Anyway, turning on this plane is kind of confusing. Yes, this is the only port where you can tell that this is an A340. You've got 4 throttle handles and 4 engine controllers. Let's turn it on. And this is where it gets really weird. This is the ignition. And for what is this trying to be? Like, this is like stuck in the middle between, and we have like 2 modes, although this plane has 3 here, and this is like completely off. All right, let's put this to ignition start, and we can turn on engine number 4. Take a close look. And that turns on all the engines at the same time. Yes, you're not able to power on or power off the, specific engines. This is really bad, and for some reason it's just like flickering here. It is turning on all 4 engines, but let me tell you, it only really uses 2 here in the flight sim because I'm able to only control 2 engines, as you can see down here. Although, as you can see down here, we're actually using all the 4 levers. You know what I mean? Like, only 2 engines are. This is like really weird. The worst thing is that the 4th engine does not even spin. Ladies and gentlemen, it gets even worse though. Let's take a close look at the modeling itself, which this time for a freeware wouldn't be bad. This looks like an FSX ported model, but look at the landing gear, ladies and gentlemen. Look at the landing gear. That looks like, some people described it as licorice. Also, the brakes are completely, like the drums here are completely black. That doesn't happen. The center landing gear has this door that's still open, which is weird. There's not even supposed to be a door that's open. It's like, it's supposed to be flush. We're supposed to have these 3 pieces of landing gear just flushly, and it doesn't happen here. Also, this plane sits very low to the ground. This all completely sucks. Now, we've turned on all 3 engines, kind of, but only 2 are usable. Let's go and do a Russian pushback. That means put on the reverse thrust, which we can't hear nor see. This plane does not have animation of reverse thrust, ladies and gentlemen. And when we when we release the park brake, it looks like this. All right, we can push back. Now, even though only 2 engines are kind of running, this plane does not suffer from differential thrust, So, like, this is like what it's supposed to be. Although, you know what I mean? Anyway, the worst thing is that when we steer this plane and the nose landing gear, we see the nose landing gear literally has no animation. It does not feature an animation. It's just stuck, and this plane will just kind of drift its way through world. Look at it. Animation problems continue when we put out the spoilers. Look at that. Spoilers out. Doesn't work. We've got no spoiler animation. No, ladies and gentlemen, this airplane has no spoilers. We can put out the flaps, though. That is a nice detail. Look at this highly detailed animated model. Look at the flaps coming out. Wow. As you can see, the windows are black. That is because this plane does not have a cabin. It looks like this from the inside. It looks like this. When you go below the cabin, we have a great view of the highly detailed nose landing gear, which, as you can see, works just well. This plane is just an abomination. And for some reason, oh wow, look at that. The 4th engine does spin now. Okay, oh, I stand corrected. Scenery has improved a little bit though. After all, now we do have a radio. Look at it, and a flight management computer, which actually do work, mainly because they're from the A320. Also, what does work is the autopilot. That's the start, and there's cars here. Let's crash. Oh, and there's people. We're gonna kill someone. That doesn't matter. What I want to show you guys is the landing gear animation, because the A340 is supposed to have total landing gear. It's supposed to look beautiful. Let's take a look. No, it doesn't look beautiful. It doesn't look beautiful at all. It does not have landing gear animation. Ladies and gentlemen, the A340 is known for being a butter queen, and we don't have that. We can put the landing gear up now by selecting this, and this is what the landing gear animation looks like. Oh, quick, very quick. I hate my life. It's just overall the modeling of this plane is just really, really bad. Especially when you get like closer to what this airplane is. We can see panel gaps everywhere. There's definitely a gap here. There's definitely a panel gap here of the landing gear flap. That just doesn't look right. And it's the overall detail of this plane, which doesn't feature light. It's just insane. And I mean, the flight dynamics are straight from the A320. This plane sounds like an A320 because it probably has the flight model, which is very funny because this is a pretty big airplane. It was once the longest airplane in terms of actual fuselage length, and it flies as sturdy as an A320. But you know what? This definitely, honestly, this may sound extremely sad, but I kind of expected a bit worse. Like, at least the plane kind of works. It's somehow airworthy, although we don't have an autopilot disengage knob. The funniest thing is, though, the climb performance of this thing is just crazy, although only 2 engines are actually running properly. As you can see, the engines are technically still at idle here. This thing climbs crazy. This thing climbs like a rocket. I've never experienced that. Everybody, the A340-600, I won't even try to bother landing it. Why? Because the landing animation will just suck. This is just not going to be good. I want to take a look, though, at a different plane. By the way, just look how bad the cockpit windows are placed. Because I really want to take a look at the professional 747-400. You know, this plane looks like this GTA 747. It's 11 euros and 19 cents as well. And this is like this thing. This plane came out like yesterday and it already has 20 reviews. I rarely review airplanes, so I think this plane will sell in the 1,000, which is sad. Honestly, with a little bit of practice, I think I could have done this like as a single person, a single developer, and made a few $1,000 by, you know, uploading a plane each month. I mean, this is not a lot of work, genuinely, to just copy over the 747. I mean, scenery is definitely made for the casual Xbox gamer who doesn't really care and just wants to fly the 747-400, although this genuinely, it looks like Roblox. And that's a big problem. I wish the Microsoft Flight Sim marketplace was a bit more trustable. A bit of quality control would be great. A highly detailed model for Microsoft, I doubt that so much. Designed for discerning simmer. Unprecedented realism and intentional detail. That's just bullcrap. At least they did bother to show the cockpit. Although it just reminds me of the 747-8. Mind you, we have the 747-8 and it's okay. You know, it's a default airplane. And I reckon this plane's just going to be worse than that. And we pay for it. I mean, it is only 240 megabytes. Okay, that's what the plane looks like. 747-8. Well, it looks much better. We have a single livery. British Airways. And you may wonder, oh, why this plane have pretty much the same specs as the 747-8. Although it has a longer range, which doesn't make sense because it didn't. Oh, all right. Come on, let's give it a chance. It won't be that bad, right? All right, so welcome aboard the 747-400 cockpit. This is what the plane looks like from the outside. Just doesn't look great. Look at the window. Look at how sad this plane looks. It's got literally no profile at all. I like how we can just go through the fuselage here, which obviously this plane hasn't got a cabin. Has it at least got a cabin upstairs? No. Yeah, black windows. This thing looks like a Minecraft mod. And the landing gear isn't much better. First of all, it's kind of in the ground. They haven't done that properly. Also, it isn't quite round. At least the brakes are actually silver now and not black. I like how they're not even like, you know, streamlined on their issues. The landing lights, black hole. Huh? The blades are a bit of an abomination. The engines are not even round properly. And this is what the further landing gear looks like. That's just, I don't know. This is like, because they have different modeling on each different airplane, I just think that they, you know, somehow bought a 3D model and just put that into the flight simulator. And we can tell that. I mean, the 747 cockpit doesn't look like this. On the 400, it's supposed to have steam backup instruments like this. This is, of course, the 747-8 cockpit. Let's see if this works at all, this plane. And they still managed to steal the thing and make it still like flicker. How? All right, turn on the battery, turn on standby power. That brings on the systems, and oh my god, because the 747 default for the Microsoft Flight Sim has a little bit of systems, we have to actually get the inertial reference system going. I don't know what this mode is. It's between AT and NAV. Look at that. That's highly realistic. Wow, that is so unexpected. You know what? This plane is already a lot better. Why? Because all it had to do was use the 747-8 cockpit and put it onto a slightly smaller model. By the way, I'm not a 747-400 expert, but isn't it supposed to have winglets that look like this? Like, this is the classic 747-400, right? Yeah, it's supposed to have winglets, but it doesn't. It has the 747-8 wings. What? This plane is just absolutely unbelievable. But hey, look at this. The instruments are now aligned. And at least this plane knows that it's powered by CF6 engines, and this is 747-400. That's a detail that they definitely worked 5 minutes on. All right, so this plane sounds exactly like the 747-8. Wonder why that is. Let's just go ahead and fly it. Let's see if the animations work. First of all, let's do a test of... Yeah, let's maybe see if the flaps come out. Oh, look! The flaps do come out. Let's see if the reverse thrust works. Now, hasn't got reverse thrust. Let's see if the spawners work. So put them all to full. Clearly doesn't work. They haven't bothered to do that. Let's see the flight controls. Oh, look, they actually do something. This works. Yeah, look, that's a start. We have a wonderful looking APU, by the way. Highly realistic aeroplane. Hey, at least they did the flap. It's crazy because this, GTA 5 plane has spoilers. All right, let's go ahead and take off this plane. It's very important. Once again, the 747 also has tilted landing gear. So let's take a look. Brakes release, like right there. Sounds oddly similar to the 747-8. Also, the 747-400 does not have like digital screens like this. Oh, we've just run over a few people. Sorry. 747-400 has CRT screens famously. Let's take a look. All right, tilted landing gear coming up. Come on. No tilted landing gear. This is the worst animation I've ever seen in my entire life, and I want to kill myself. Let's see if the lights work, because they don't. All right, lights are all on. These are all on. This plane is probably black as a cat from a witch. Let's take a look. Yeah. Nothing here. I haven't even bothered with the nav lights. Oh, they have. Oh, wow. We've green light, and we've got white light. That's a bit of a start, but it's a shame though, because like it literally takes 5 minutes to position the lights on an aircraft. You know what I mean? That's just insane. This looks like FSX, and the plane makes it look like FSX. Look at the flickering here. Hey, but at least the flight model is somehow acceptable because it's just the 747-8 flight model. So this plane doesn't go extremely crazy, although you're able to very much, you know what? This flies a lot better than the A340. For some reason, we can't put out landing gear, but I'm not really gonna bother with it because like, it looks crap anyway. I just want to land a plane into this video. I come on, let's take a look. Cold myself. So thank you guys so much. I don't know why, but this is going full power. Huh? Speed mode isn't even on. So everybody, I'm gonna give up now. Don't buy all these aircraft. I'm not even gonna bother with the 767. And I'll see you guys tomorrow as always. Good night. Thank you for watching. And a special thanks goes out to my members, my supporters. Guns Killer, R27, James Duram, That Dude, Anime Gods of Gaming, Derek, Insider Plane, Nishijitsu Fanner, Professional Jamal, Ryland Williams, and New the York. You've got beautiful names.